This episode sponsored by Clio Cloud practice management software. Makes it easy to manage your law firm from intake to invoice. Try it for free at Clio.com. That's CLIO.com. CLIO.com. Hello and welcome to another edition of On the Road with Legal Talk Network. I'm Laurence Colletti. I'm the host for today's show, which is being recorded at the Clio Cloud Conference here in San Diego, California, America's finest city. I have a wonderful panel of media people joining me today. So there's tons of them, way more of them than me today. So I'm going to start to my left with Mr. Keith Lee. Tell us about yourself. Where do you work and what do you do?
Hey, I'm Keith Lee. I run Lawyer Smack, which is the leading private community for lawyers online. But I'm also here with a buddy, Brian, who created an AMA for Reddit. And so we're running a lot of AMAs here with a lot of the tech startup people. And we're going to do one with a couple of the speakers and just doing Q&A sessions on Reddit, which is always fun.
Excellent. Gregory.
Yeah, I have a podcast called Legal Cut Pro, and this is the first time I'm attending ClioCon as media. I've been a regular attendee before, but I launched my podcast back in April, and it's a Canadian entertainment law podcast, so trying to find content and interviews here that are relevant for my audience.
Excellent. Chelsey, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me. This is Chelsey Lambert. I am the Chief Tactical Officer and co-CEO of Legal Tech Media Group, also the author of Lex Tech Review and the host of the Women in Legal podcast here at the conference, covering updates for both our partners and our clients.
And Cathy.
Hi, I'm Cathy Kenton. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer and co-CEO for Legal Tech Media Group. And I'm here covering on our blog, the LTMG blog, what's new and interesting both from the perspective of the attendees, obviously, but the integration partners as well as the consulting partners that are here attending and learning more about how they can work with Clio.
Excellent. And last, but certainly not least, Joe.
Yeah, Joe Patrice. I'm with Above the Law and the podcast Thinking Like a Lawyer here on this network. I am here because Clio is a awesome show and I learn a lot every time I come, so that's why I'm here.
Excellent. Well, Joe sort of spilled the beans on my next question. I was going to ask why you're all here. So
yeah, fair enough.
We get a front row seat. So Legal Talk Network gets a front row seat. We cover a lot of the legal technology events and the development of the practice of law. And so very important to us. That's our audience. They're tuning in for that to learn how to run leaner, meaner, better mousetraps in the practice of law. And so just going around the table, everyone's probably got their own reason, and Joe sort of spilled the beans. So I'm going to start back with you, Joe.
Yeah.
Why is Above the Law here?
Above the Law is here. You normally think of us as America's, hub for dick jokes about lawyers or something, but it's not really just that. We also cover the legal tech support as we go through. But we also cover the legal tech space in between all of that. And what we try to do is learn what's out there and what lawyers could be using to better their practice. And Clio is one of those, while we tend to go to more industry as a whole shows, this is one of the few product-specific shows that we go to because we feel as though Clio is kind of an ecosystem that covers a lot of spaces, and that's why it's useful as a general matter for us.
All right, and Chelsey and Cathy, you guys came out here, want to cover the Clio Cloud Conference, very specific. So what are your reasons?
Absolutely. So a lot of our readership on the Lex Tech Review side is the mid-market, so mid-sized firms, and really seeing so many of them move into adoption of Clio, being here to be aware of all of the new integration partners, products and services, and then implementation partners that can help move off of all of those legacy systems is top of mind for us this year. And Cathy's covering our clients and partners.
Right. So we have several clients that are here, both as current integration partners and exhibitors, as well as technology consultants that are looking to do more with Clio and with the mix and understanding what those products are and how everything fits together. So we're here covering that to potentially help our clients and our community understand the Clio ecosystem.
All right, and Gregory, I met you at Patrick Palace's pregame party over at the Airbnb
That's right.
that they're renting. So welcome over from Canada. And so what brings you here?
What brings me here is it was a bit of a hope and a prayer that, because I haven't attended as a media attendee before, and Sasha Perrin with Clio, I just emailed her and asked, hey, so I have this little podcast, and can I attend as media? And she asked me, well, what kind of stories do you want to cover? And I gave her some ideas for interviews and stuff like that. So, and she graciously accepted, and here I am as media. So some of the stories I'm trying to cover, that's my podcast is targeted towards Canadian independent film producers. So getting
It's very
interviews.
niche.
Yeah, very niche. So they're trying to find a couple of interviews. What I had a couple of really good interviews for that, and talk a little about issues in the film industry, on the American side and relevant to the Canadian side, and also talk a little bit about legal tech and how that's changing our practice, at least our area of practice.
And Keith, same question.
Oh, I'm here to lounge around. No, I'm here because we have, I have a few dozen members here at the conference, Lawyers Spec members, so it was definitely like a critical mass thing that I knew there were going to be a bunch of people here. We have a big San Diego contingent on top of that. So came out here for that, just to have all the people here, and then to, capacity fill out a place and then not be able to let y'all inside. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So Keith is talking about his secret but not so secret party last night. Yeah, we went down there, we walked, actually. We didn't just take the Uber. We walked down there, and then much to our surprise, we couldn't get in. So
we hit fire marshal code capacity, and they said I couldn't let any more people inside. You got in there. You got in.
No, we didn't get in. Yeah, no, sure you did. That was clearly a we weren't cool enough. It was a velvet rope situation. Well,
Chelsey, you got in.
It
We
was
did.
a great
Yes,
party.
we did.
had
yeah. See, we see what's
You
going
see,
on.
you see how that played out, right? So, but then here just to see other vendors and talk with people, and then to help run all the AMAs for Reddit, and that's always fun because it's a totally different. It's not the legal tech crowd. It's not the industry crowd. It's let's go to normal people and be able to have them come in and ask questions of all the vendors and kind of give them a sneak peek of what it's like here.
Excellent. Well, we're interviewing many of the presenters and the keynote presenters as well. And so learning the idea, our goal here is to provide information to the practitioner, so to bring back to their practice, help them run a better law firm. And so just want to go around the table and ask about some of the stories and topics that you're covering. And so I'm going to go back to Keith because he didn't let us in his party. So Keith.
So far, the thing that I've thought was most exciting, this is just me being a internet dork or whatever, is I was super excited to see Professor Eric Goldman, who's probably one of the premier internet law scholars on Section 230 issues. And then here specifically, his other sort of pet thing is the emojis and the law. And he's the preeminent legal scholar on emoji law and interpretation and about how courts do that. So went and sat in on his talk, and that was, for me as a internet law dork, that was really compelling.
Was there one emoji he recommended never to use?
That to never use?
Eggplant?
Yeah. The peach eggplant thing came up, and that is continually being an interesting thing right now on Twitter.
I have nothing to say in response to that. So.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to Gregory.
I'll carry on with what Keith was saying. I interviewed Eric Goldman yesterday for my podcast, and because emojis and the law come up as they can become relevant in film if you have on camera someone, an actor using emojis, and are there copyright considerations? And yes, there are, and there could be trademark considerations? Yes, there could be. So I interviewed Eric, and he was a fantastic interview. So gracious because it was a cold email. And I didn't know him, he didn't know me, but on very short notice, he's like, yeah, let's do this interview. And he was fantastic. So, and I also, one of the missions I had when I came here was that I need to find another entertainment lawyer here at ClioCon. That was very hard to do. I pushed out on social media, but I finally found one, Chung Bui of Council for Creators. So I just had an interview with him this morning, and that went really well as well.
Excellent. So, Chelsey, Cathy, what type of topics and stories are you covering?
So I think that there's a massive explosion that we're seeing, especially in the business analytics integration tools and the adoption of Clio by so many mid-sized firms. In the early days, when Clio first came out, it was 1 to 5 person firms. It was a go-to solution. And so now as you're seeing so many of the legacy consolidation in the legacy market and the move from premise-based to the cloud, like really what are the integration tools, products and services that have been created by firms or by providers? Like to see PwC here for the first time as a Diamond sponsor, I think that speaks volumes to where Clio is going and the analytics and insights that now these additional layers that sit on top of Clio are able to offer.
So I think for me what has been extremely valuable are the legal trends report, the results of the legal trends report, and the year-over-year evaluation of that data. It just continues to boggle my mind what those numbers look like and how disparate they are from what we all think they are, and how just incremental changes will make a big difference, both in profitability and success. So I love numbers. So,
All right, Joe.
Yeah, so there are two things that have struck me about this. As with every Clio, I've been incredibly impressed by the keynote selection. The way in which most tech conferences would put up some legal tech muckety-muck to talk about legal tech, whatever. The way in which Clio goes out and finds outside-the-box speakers to speak to issues that then they tie back in thematically to what's going on. Like Glenn Greenwald is not somebody you think of when you say legal tech, and then you hear he talks about privacy and how that works in the legal space, and it ties back in. And it's always impressive the way this conference thinks outside the box to get back in the box. The second thing that really interested me about being here is I talked to Jack Newton yesterday, and the number that stuck out to me, out of all the legal trends report numbers that are fascinating, it was one not from that struck out to me. He was telling me that they think that about 30% of the people who are here are not even Clio customers or people working with Clio, meaning a show that is devoted to a singular product has 30% of the people who aren't even currently using that product. And that's a testament to how this show has grown as like both thought leadership and generates an excitement and interest for outsiders to come in. And that was interesting because that's not a number that, it's hard to get 30% of people to come to something that they aren't already using.
well, and I'll just add to that anecdotally, at the party last night that we were able to get into, we met a couple of attorneys who were attending from the state of Texas, 2 attorneys, 2 named principals in a law firm that are not Clio users, and we're here to learn whether Clio would work for them and what several of the other pieces were, and how they could improve their practice.
All right, so my last question. So if you had a special article, special interview, or special conversation, or special Ask Me Anything, what would it be? So ours, we've got a brand new experimental podcast going on today at 2. I hope you all stop by. We're doing sort of a game show styled episode based on the Legal Trends Report. We're calling it the Legal Trends Retort. So we have like 4 guests. George Saharis, who is the author of the Legal Trends Report, will be here. He'll be hosting. We have buzzers right here. People will be able to buzz in, give their answers. They'll be penalized for incorrect answers because we live in the real world. So you should come by, heckle, cheer, cry, whatever it is. But anyway, so I want to go to your favorites. So we'll start back with Keith.
Yeah, so far, like I said, we're doing an AMA right now with Professor Goldman, but then right after this, we're going to sit down with Jack and Mark Britton and talk to them about, how all this is going out, everything that Clio's got going on, what it's like to have Mark now as a partner with them, and just kind of pick their brains and, allow essentially the internet to pick their brains for the next hour. So that'll be an interesting conversation.
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Gregory.
Oh, I think I already mentioned the interviews that I have conducted, and those are largely mission accomplished for me so far. So, but I might keep my ears and eyes open for any other relevant content to my pod, and we'll go from there.
Cathy, Chelsey, favorite?
Definitely the launch code contest. Seeing the innovation, all of the new ideas and products that have come out of the last couple of years, would just grown from necessity, or the way that, whether it's homegrown inside of the law firm or innovation that's coming in from other markets, like other verticals, bringing that to the Clio platform has been really exciting, and I always look forward to it every year.
So I think I want to spend a little more time in the exhibit hall with several of the sponsors that are here, in both exhibit halls. I think that I want to get their take on the conference and how interested the attendees have been in their products and what they've learned from it.
And Joe, favorite article you're going to write about?
It's going to be when I heckle all those people at that game show. That's going to be.
I'm here for that.
Yeah, that
whoa,
seems
I'm down.
Thank you.
obviously. No, I've enjoyed everything. I don't know if I can pick a favorite. It's been great, and I've also had the privilege of going to some of these limited VIP media events where I get to have more one-on-one with the speakers. It's been fantastic. I don't know if I can pick any of the keynotes I've talked to yet, but it's been very fascinating to chat with everybody.
Well, before we close it out, I want to give everyone an opportunity to share your contact information for our listeners in case they want to reach out, want to read you, they want to listen to you, they want to connect with you. So why don't we start with Keith, give us some contact information?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to get me is probably on Twitter. I'm at Associates Mind, or just search Keith Lee on Twitter. I'll be the first thing that shows up. Or you can find us at lawyersmack.com.
It's not violent. I thought it was when I first said Lawyer Smack does not sound good.
I mean, we could go that way if you're into that. Like, I'm flexible.
Inappropriately, Keith. So anyway, Gregory.
You can find me on Twitter at Cyclaw, CYCLAW. I brand myself as the original cycling lawyer, but that's a story for another time. And you can find our podcast, LegalCutPro.com, and on all your favorite podcast platforms, Google, Spotify, Apple, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, Chelsey.
Okay. I'm at Chelsey Lambert with a CHELSEY Lambert on Twitter. You can also find my blog, lextechreview.com, and our marketing agency, Legal Tech Media Group, at legaltechmg.com.
All right, Cathy.
And I'm C_Kenton at Twitter. And Cathy at legaltechmg.com is another easy way to get a hold of me.
Last but not least, Joe.
AboveTheLaw.com is always going to be there. Then I'm also at Joseph Patrice on Twitter because I was an early adopter to Twitter before it became big and got Joe Patrice, like I was in the first month, and then it didn't become a thing for a long time, so I never logged back in and I've lost my password, so I'm Joseph Patrice instead of Joe Patrice because I don't know the password to that one. And you can also listen to Thinking Like a Lawyer right here.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
And also, thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please rate and review us in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or best yet, your favorite podcasting app. Until next time, I'm Laurence Colletti. Thank you for listening.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.